We were teased last week, but finally, Luffy and Zoro versus Basil Hawkins. Get your tarot cards out, because I predict that this is going to be a good one. Yo, Hegassen here with One Piece episode 898. Luffy and Zoro fighting Basil Hawkins. Finally, we endured the Stampede filler to get to this. How was it? Well, it starts off a little bit underwhelming because we have Hawkins there with what looks like a mix of his Hawking pirates and some of Kaido's men, Kaido's subordinates. I'm not really sure where they are. We don't see Fost. Where's Fost at? I want to see Fost, the big cat mink. There's one guy there who I'm pretty sure we have seen in Hawkins' crew before, so we can tell there that it's a little bit of a mix, and there's a couple guys there that are monk guys. The guy that we've seen before, I think we saw him way back in Shabaondi. I don't even think he has a name yet, at least I haven't been able to find the name for him. So we'll just call him Hair Guy for this, but there's no need to kind of worry about Hair Guy because he fights Zoro and gets thrown into a ravine, and that's the end of him, although he does seem to be able to control his hair, so I'm not sure if he's doing that via a power or it's just the way it was animated, but he wraps his hair around Zoro's arm, but like I say, he just gets thrown in a ravine because at the beginning of this episode, we get kind of a little bit of filler fluff, you know. There's Zoro and Luffy are fighting some guys. Luffy's fighting a guy with a big hammer, Zoro's fighting Hair Guy, and I think it's just there to kind of pad out the episode, but there's some good stuff in there, but it's definitely nothing compared to what we get at the end of this episode. But I understand why they put it in there, because they have got to stretch this out. This episode only really covers the first half of manga chapter 913. In the manga chapter, this fight went by quite quick, so they obviously had to pad it out a little bit here, so it wasn't a lot of just standing around. I do appreciate that. We did get some good stuff here with Luffy and Zoro that was in the manga, of them two bickering over the Nidai Kitetsu. Luffy obviously took that sword because he wants to be a real samurai. Zoro, with his one good eye, sees that sword, is like, give it to me. Luffy's like, no way! Zoro's like, nani? And then Luffy being Luffy, he goes in there using his sword, and of course, he doesn't really know how to use a sword, so he's just holding it, he's just punching people with it, much to the annoyance of Zoro. Although, like I say, we did get some filler fluff in here, and one of the bits that we got was Luffy actually using the sword, and we actually see him using the sword quite successfully, doing some blocks, cutting some blades. That was alright. It kind of ruined the joke here of Luffy just fighting with holding the sword, but doing these regular punches, doing these regular like Goma Goma no pistols and stuff. But it was alright to see. There were some kind of epic shots there of Luffy with a sword, which is always good to see. Good little screen caps there. During this scuffle, Luffy picks up one of those dinosaur lizard things that we see everybody running around with in Wano, the things that look like those things from Elder Scrolls, and Luffy throws it into Basil Hawkins, and this is where we first start to see Basil Hawkins' powers. He draws out his sword that can turn into straw. A little bit of a mystery around that sword that I'll touch on a little bit later, and he just stabs that lizard. That is beautifully animated. Zoro then takes that opportunity. He sees a moment, goes in with a slash, like an air slash. We get that great sound effect that we get in One Piece whenever someone does like a sword slash, that shing sound effect. It goes flying, smacks Basil Hawkins across the face. It should have killed him. It's gone straight into his face, into his brains, but we get to see his Devil Fruit power here. His Devil Fruit power that makes Basil Hawkins one of the most intriguing characters, and characters I want to see the most in this Wano arc. Puts up his arm, and out comes his little straw hat doll things that lets him survive lives. He says that he can do 10 here, or at least says if he has 10. So we're assuming here that he has 10. And his powers are great, aren't they? Are really intriguing. Really want to know more about them. We get explanations here as to how this part of it works, but I'd like to see a lot more of it. Like I say, his sword, he can put straw around his sword. It's not really explained here how that is, because the sword blade itself seems to turn into straw. Is this a hint here that Basil Hawkins might have actually achieved awakening? Because it kind of looks similar to that, like how Don Flamingo turned all of the buildings into string. It's kind of what it looks like here with his sword. And he also uses that sword to get his great big power up. He raises it up into the air, and he does a Dragon Ball style power up. It literally did remind me of Dragon Ball. Hawkins is basically standing there going, yeah! And Luffy and Zoro are just standing there. It's that classic anime thing where you're like, come on guys, just attack him while he's powering up. But I'm glad that they didn't, because it looked beautiful. He summons this great big straw demon thing. I don't know what it is. It's got nails for hands. It's got an awesome laugh. It's like, yeah, ha, 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 ha. I was not expecting that laugh. The sequence alone of it transforming was like 2 minutes of the episode, maybe more, but it was worth it because it looked great. Definitely took most of the budget of this episode. And again, a lot more confusions as to what on earth is Basil Hawkins' power? How does it all work? Is this some awakening thing? It's like surrounded in an aura. Is that Hucky related? Speaking of Hucky, he also has these tarot cards, and whenever he uses these tarot cards now, we get like this new on-screen graphic of what the tarot card is. So that's good to see, and a little bit more of explanation as to what one is. And here you can see he's floating them in the air. They've got purple around them. Is this related to his devil fruit? Is this some Hucky based thing? Is he infusing them with like observation Hucky? Not really any explanations, and this is why Basil Hawkins is one of the characters in Wano that I really intrigued about and want to know more of. As we're about to get into this fight, it ends. Well, it doesn't quite end. Luffy and Zoro, the Komayunu, comes in. Otama is in a really bad shape. They have to get out of here. Hawkins pulls the pursuit card and goes in for the pursuit. And then we get to be continued. That was really hype. Did like that. Obviously, I know where this is going. But, you know, it still looks great. Still that intrigue on Hawkins. Still great to see his powers on the big screen. Well, not really big screen, on the small screen, on the Crunchyroll screen. Of course, we're in very early Wano, so I'm not expecting Hawkins to be taken out this early. It's just a nice tease as to what we could look forward to later on in this arc. But apart from that, not really much to talk about in this episode. It was mostly all fighting. The first half of it was mostly kind of fillery fight stuff. The second half of it was mostly Hawkins summoning his great big straw thing. But that was awesome. How would I rate this? I'd definitely give it a gold tier, I think. Just for that end bit, just for seeing Hawkins and seeing all of his powers on the screen. And that intrigue as to what he is and all of the speculation that comes with it. Is he using Hucky in there? Is there any awakening in there? What is the exact nature of his devil fruit? Who knows? We can speculate this all the way up until the end of Wano probably, as that's when all of the big reveals in the final fight are probably going to happen. The animation in this episode, like I said with that straw hat, the animation in this episode was good, at least more so in the second half. In the first half, when Zoro and Luffy are fighting, and it's a little bit clunky, and there's a quite big extended shot of just a dust cloud with explosions going on, and that goes on noticeably a little bit longer than it actually should. From the preview next week, it looks like we're going to get a little bit more of an extended fight with Hawkins in the pursuit, because like I said, this was chapter 913. The Hawkins stuff was only in the first half of the chapter. The second half of the chapter was dedicated to something else, so it looks like they are going to stretch this out a little bit longer. I don't really expect the stuff that happens in the second part of 913 to maybe happen till the episode after next week's one, but there's some interesting stuff to look forward to there. So, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Hey, so thanks for watching. What did you think? Let me know about it in the comments below. And, if you enjoyed my video, maybe give it a like, and if you really liked it, why not subscribe? You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram and Twitch. Oh, and here's a related video you might enjoy, and something more fresh. I've been Hegassen, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!